I can't say that word. I shouldn't even try to say that word this morning. Palpably. Good morning. It is Sunday, March 1st, 2026, and welcome to my FlossTube channel, Hero Born Stitches. I am Jessica, and this is the channel where I talk about my cross stitch. So I have a weekly update for you, really sort of a month wrap up also. Clearly words are going to be a challenge today, but to any of you who are just finding me for the first time, welcome. You are very welcome here. To any of my returning subscribers, welcome back. Always glad to have you. Okay, so what does today bring? Well, I think I've got 10 whips to show you guys today, including a new start, a restart, which you'll see in a little bit, some progress on the SALs I'm working on, and plans, a little bit of haul, just a little bit of haul, and plans moving forward with March. So a little bit of a life update first, just working. I have just been, as I have been saying, stupid busy. By the time I get close to the end of my day and I'm realizing I need to go home, it is time to go home, I realize sometimes that I have not eaten, that I have not peed, that I haven't done anything like that. So just really busy. We have 2 weeks before spring break. I am dramatically looking forward to spring break. It cannot get here quickly enough. I wish we had something fun planned, but we really don't. I have a minor surgical procedure on the 13th, that Friday before spring break. And then my husband is having another eye surgery on the 16th. So that's going to mean like an overnight in Wichita. I hope I will at least get a little shopping in while I'm there. But other than that, just working. I did, when I was thinking about putting this video together, was thinking about this question that I have. So it is that time of year with Easter coming up. And so there are bunnies and Easter candy and baskets and stuff everywhere. And I was I don't even know where I was. I was at some store because my husband and I did Walgreens. We did a lot of little errands yesterday morning. And I walked by a bag of all black jelly beans and I was delighted. And I was just like, oh yes, these are coming home with me. So what are the thoughts on black licorice jelly beans? I am a big fan. I'm a huge fan. And clearly I am not the only one, or else they wouldn't sell bags that were just black licorice jelly beans. And I don't know what it is. I love that anise flavor. I just love it. It makes me happy every time I have anything. Liquor, jelly beans, anything that has that anise flavor in it. But I think, I don't know, it might come from growing up. My dad also loved black jelly beans and loved that anise flavor. And we were never allowed them when we were growing up. Of course, I was a child of the 80s, born early 70s. And we didn't have fancy jelly beans that showed up in our Easter baskets ever. It was always just a mix. And we were not allowed to eat the black jelly beans because those were my dad's favorite. And they didn't sell bags that were just black jelly beans at that point. So maybe it's because I was deprived when I was young. I don't know. But I am a big fan. So drop me a comment. Let me know. Black jelly beans, yes or no? In my opinion, in my experience, it seems like people either love them or hate them. So let me know. Let me know which side of the black jelly bean fence you are on. Okay, so let's get started. Words. Okay, new starts. So I am bored. I am painfully bored. That's easier for me to say this morning. painfully bored with my stitching. And I think that really struck me yesterday morning when I woke up and I pulled the temperatures for the next week, because I do that the day before I record usually, and then just avoid those until, because I don't want to start on them until after I've shown them. But anyway, I pulled them and I looked at the calls, and it wasn't bad. Like, everything that was on there needs to be worked on. And I don't hate working on any of them. But I was just like, oh, that is so boring. Like, I was like, why do people watch me? I am looking at the exact same whips with 100 stitches in them, 100 additional stitches in them every single week. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard to sit down and start stitching. So my husband and I went out and ran errands all morning. Nothing that was really needed. Just really out spending money, I think. So we went and did that, and I got home and I sat down and planned to start stitching. Had a little impromptu call, I think, with a friend. And I was struggling. I was just on the struggle bus. And so I started organizing the things that I got. And one of the things that I picked up, I'm taking a really long time to get to this new start. I'm sorry. But one of the things that I picked up was the last little bit of DMC I needed for the 11 rabbits piece. And so when I did that, I had like 3 skeins that I wanted to make sure everything was in the same bag. And after I did that, I pulled them out and I spread all the floss all over the fabric again. And it was just like, oh yeah, no, that's going to work. That's going to work great. And then I had to pull out the floss and the fabric for the new alchemy pieces by Jet X Stitch that I'm thinking, that were high on that new start list. And I was just like, oh, those one look so pretty. And I went to go put them away. And I was just like, no, I have to start something because I don't want to stitch anything right now. I still had one of my temperature stitching pieces that I hadn't done. Was not happy with the number of stitches I got into the Haid SAL. That was my plan for yesterday. Yeah, I had to start something new. So I did. I did. What I started was Abundance, part of the new Alchemy series. Here, yeah, I'll put it here. Here. One of the 4 of the new Alchemy series by Jet X Stitch. I don't really know when these came out. It says 2025, copyright 2025 on the patterns. And I haven't seen a lot of people stitching them. And it kind of kills me because I am in love with them. So I pulled it out and started. And I did not really get very much. This is where I am, clearly. I didn't get very much done because I didn't really stitch on it for very long. But like this circle here, halfway across this circle is halfway down. Is that like that halfway point? See if I can do this. I can't, but yeah, that's half. And it is just mirrored because these are these mandala pieces. So they're not big. I mean, they're 7.5 inches on 32 count, I think. And that's what this is. This is 32 count weathered stone Lugana, which was the called for fabric. They might have done it on linen. I couldn't find linen. By Atomic Ranch. I am using Silken Colors floss, the called for floss, 2/2. And the floss is, I love this name. And I love this floss. This is, it's Mossy Cauldron. And I'm going to bring this in closer. I am obsessed with this floss. Completely obsessed. And all of the Silken Colors floss that I have for these pieces is amazing. I have not stitched with it before. And it might be a little bit spendy. I don't care. I am going to find a great big old piece and order in a bunch, like in whatever color I want. I am obsessed with this floss. It has, I mean, it's definitely in a color family. Like it's all green for sure, but it has just the right amount of variegation in it where you don't have like these stretches that maybe don't look right. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about with variegated floss sometimes. Sometimes there's like too much variegation and then you get some like yucky, muddy brown tones where colors come together. So it's all greens. It's all in the green family and it goes from very, very dark, like blue green to kind of this acid green and lots of different things in between. Oh my gosh, I am just loving every minute of it. I think maybe I didn't count stitches because I'm just having fun. And I think I maybe put 2 hours in, something like that. I'm not even sure that was 2 hours, but oh my gosh, so much fun. This morning, I just wanted to pick that up and keep working on it, but I knew I wanted to record and I never got that last temperature stitching piece done. So I wanted to get that done before I recorded. And so, yeah, I'm sure that will be coming out soon again. Now, originally when I was ordering these, I thought this is on a fat quarter. I thought I wanted to do them all together, like kind of window pane. But I could not find a fat half anywhere. I ordered 2 fat quarters in, and I thought from the seller on Etsy, it sounded like if you order 2 fat quarters, you would end up with fat half. And she contacted me after I had ordered it and said, did you want this as one piece or did you want 2? Somebody had cut the fabric wrong and all they had left was fat quarters. And fat half isn't a thing. Should I say fat half? Anyway. And I said, yeah, ideally I did want one piece, but I can make 2 pieces work. She was offering to refund me the money if, and I was like, no, I can make it work. So I haven't decided yet whether I want to do 4 individual pieces and just frame them all alike, or maybe put them in the same frame, or just do one and then another one and do 2 pieces that are long and just hang them next to each other. So if you have thoughts on that, let me know too. I'm kind of leaning towards the 2 on one piece and then have 2 pieces right next to each other, framed identically. Save on framing costs probably, and just some interesting dimension. But then the next question is, what 2 pieces do I do together? Because there was a blue and a brown and red after this green. I think it almost has to be red. So the green and the brown are on separate things. I don't want the blue and the green together because they're next to each other on the color wheel. And the green and the brown are more earthy. But then I'm afraid if the red and the green go together, it will look kind of Christmas. So I don't know. Don't know where I'm at. Just eating black jelly beans. That's where I am. So that was my new start. I'll talk more about new starts and plans because there will be some coming up. Okay. Now we're on to temperature stitching. So temperature stitching, for anyone who isn't familiar, and I am sorry if I'm boring people, it seems like every single time I don't talk about temperature stitching, somebody asks me what it is. And then I'm like, yeah, maybe I need to talk about it every time. I shouldn't just assume people have watched all of my videos. Some people have like FlossTube nose. I think I have FlossTube cheek. Anyway, temperature stitching is something that I do to help myself make progress on projects, which are not going to be my focus pieces, but I still want to see moving forward. I have 36, now 37 whips. So I don't have an enormous number, but some of them are very, very, very old. And I just want to see them finished. And I don't really want to make them my focus pieces because I am generally not having as much fun stitching on them as I am on something new. So I need the novelty. I just know I need the novelty. So anyway, So what I do is I have taken 10 whips, all of them without a start date at this point. So it's the oldest of the whips. And I have aligned them each with a number. I have a spreadsheet that's like 0 to 9, a digit. And then I look on Saturday morning, first thing, I look at the projected temperatures for the next week and take that last digit of the temperature. I live in the US, so that is Fahrenheit. And let's say I have 2 sevens, then I will do 100 stitches for every time that 7 appears on that whip, on that corresponding whip. So I'll do 100 stitches for all the 2s, all the 7s, all the 9s. Sometimes there's a lot of variety. Sometimes there's not. Sometimes it feels like it takes forever for things to get out of temperature stitching because I usually stitch on them for about 1,000 stitches. So wait for them to be called 100 times before I swap them out. If they're very close or if I get really bored with them, I might swap them out earlier. But yeah, and that's my temperature stitching. I've gotten a lot done since I started recording. And I don't remember when that was. I want to say like July, August, something like that. I have gotten a lot done since just through temperature stitching since I started doing it. So it has been a very good thing. So temperature stitching, I had 6 different projects that were called for temperature stitching. First one is the Kitten Ornaments, this bathroom project from when my daughter was very, very young. This is the kitten that I was working on. These came in a kit by Something Special back in the very early 90s. I have most of these done, not all of them. This is where it was the last time you saw it. It was called for 100 stitches, and I put well in excess of 100 stitches in it. You're probably not going to see all of that because a fair amount of it was in white. But I finished up the light gray that was needed. And then, although I was tempted to go to the red because that's a lot more exciting, I ate my vegetables and was working on the white. And someone came in, actually my husband came in and started talking to me while I was stitching. And I think I needed like 20 stitches of white or 18 stitches of white or something like that. And I ended up finishing off the entire thread and then starting a new thread while I was talking to him, and then went, I don't even need to do this. I already have my 100 stitches. So she's coming along very nicely. These are very, like, so much from the 1990s, very, very, very back stitch heavy. So it looks like I'm very close to done, and I am very close to done with the cross stitches, but I will be back stitching 4 days once we get there. So that is that first piece of temperature stitching. The second piece of temperature stitching was also called once. It was Daffodil Drive by Stitching with Housewives. I'll pop a picture of that up right here. And this is where it was last time you saw it. Like I said, it was also called for 100, and I'm looking and I have a loop on the back of my fabric. So anyway, also called for 100 stitches, and I did put in over 100 stitches on this also. I just wanted to finish off the strand of floss that I have. So this is done on 28 count Monaco, just white 28 count Monaco by Charles Craft, and with the called for Classic Colorworks. Anyone who's worked with Classic Colorworks knows that those are really long strands of flosses, and because they are over dyed, you really don't want a loop method unless if you just want to pay a whole lot for floss. Not that they're very expensive, because they're not. As far as over dyed goes, they're pretty reasonable. But if you do the loop method, you might as well just be buying DMC or something else because you are killing all the variegation. The yellow is Queen Bee in this one, and there's not a lot of variegation in that anyway. However, I am still doing 2 strands, not loop method, and finishing each cross just so I can get the little bit of variegation that's in there. I wanted to make sure I got all the Queen Bee done in the top and bottom border. And clearly I did that. There is a second color of yellow in the top and bottom border, which is probably where I'll go next. I was just trying to, with this business down here, I had floss left and just was trying to use it up. So there's more queen bee in it in the daffodils. So I'm sure I will come back to it, but I do want to kind of finish up the borders first. Gives me a really, really good jumping off point, and it's mindless stitching too. So I do have the house from this piece complete. That has been completed quite some time ago. This was a series, not last year, I don't think, but the year before, that they had. I think I have 4 or 5 of them finished. There was one every month, and it was a fair amount of stitching every month, and I definitely fell behind. So I'm trying to get that finished up. So that is that second piece. One of these days, I might actually recognize. It's not going to be tomorrow. One of these days, I might actually recognize that I'm really not a stitch along person. I'm an along addict. I knit along, I stitch along, I quilt along, and I can't keep up. And then I feel bad because I can't keep up. And then I stop doing it. So I have just a ton. I could use a big word there, but it wouldn't come out of my mouth, right? I have a ton of alongs that are partway done. Okay. So the next piece of temperature stitching, again, boring updates. Sun and Moon Sampler by the Scarlett Letter. I think I told you what everything was done with. I mean, the kittens was just a kit. So it was just the stuff that was in the kit that it could still find, substituted with other things. Anyway, Scarlett Letter, the Sun and Moon Sampler. This was a kit. So the linen and the silks are what came in the kit. I don't know what count it is. I'm just doing one strand of silk over one. Still working on that gold to fill in the border. I went all the way across the bottom. And am I showing you the right side? Yes. Does that say that my backs are good or just that my stitching is messy? I don't know. So hanging thread. I actually didn't need to finish up the whole bottom border to get the 100 stitches in, but I did with the gold because I need this border to be done because I need to stitch something other than boring ass border on this piece. And it is not big. I mean, you guys can see it is not big, unless if I have the biggest head in the world, it is not big. And it's a 1/1 border and it has taken forever. So this is temperature stitching. So yeah, this was probably purchased, I would say late 90s at most. At the latest, I should say, started late 90s. My husband just came in and scolded the dogs and shushed them. So I don't know whether you heard that or not. Sometimes I don't know what will be picked up. So this is where it was last time you saw it. And it probably looks essentially identical to where it is now. Just have this one side of boring ass border to do. That will be probably 2 days of temperature stitching because that just to put the gold in the border is, I bet there's about 200 stitches of gold in there, maybe a little bit more. But I will finish it off on the second one. I mean, I have got to get to something else on this piece. I have to. Just has to happen. Okay, so let's see, that's 3. Next one is the one that I did not do until this morning. It is Little Gems by Gemstone Design, Little Gems 2 by Gemstone Design. There's also a kit. I believe the linen probably came with the kit because it's a really good match to the silk like it's supposed to be. But I'm not 100% sure because, again, it was an early 90s purchase, early 90s start, and this is where it was last time you saw it. So this was just called for 100 stitches as well. I'm fighting with light as always. It's really very overcast here today. We've had some beautiful weather. And overcast is good for pictures, but maybe not good for filming. I don't know. So yeah, so I finished up these little motifs that echo the center motif all the way around. That was done in Water Lilies Pistachio, which is the only over dye that came in there. And boy, they do not give you plenty. I have one strand of silk left in that pistachio. And it is, I think it's maybe 14 inches long. But that's all that was left. Like if I screwed up, I was out of luck. So yeah, so I don't know why I'm holding that on a diagonal. Maybe I'm just wanting to look at it on a diagonal. So I did that, finished off all of those little motifs, and then started the pulled thread, the second pulled thread section. And this is not in the hoop, super tight or super straight. So this is using a silk that is almost identical to the linen and is the same silk that was used for the pulled thread in the middle with those little crosses. I don't know how well anyone can see that. Maybe if I put my hand back there. Yeah, that was not fun. Lots of pulling stuff tight to get these little crosses in the middle of those stitches. This is not bad at all. This is actually just like if you look at the back side, I'm going to show you my back. If you look, you're not gonna be able to see it anyway, because it's the same color as the linen. But if you look at the back side, it's just like a cross stitch, a regular cross stitch, just over 4, but you just pull tight and it gives you this little, there, you can kind of see it there, that little bit pulled. So that goes all the way around. I don't have a ton of this floss left either. I hope I have enough to get around. I think I probably will. This was a partial length that did this up here. And that's what I needed to get to 100 stitches. I don't know exactly how many lengths I have left, but I think I probably have enough to get around. I'm praying I have enough to get around because I don't even think they tell me the color of the rose floss and the overdyed and the cream floss, the silks, because we use some of that for cross stitching around the border because there's one more border after this pulled thread piece goes around. And that was quick as could be. That was ridiculous quick. Actually, I'm thinking about that now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I did get 100 stitches because usually like if it's a back stitch, I count it as half. And I'm not sure I had enough because it was 50. I'm not going to do math. Okay. Doesn't matter. No. This was called for this week. I'll just put extra stitches in it. But anyway, yeah. So there's cross stitches around. There's cross stitches and some eyelets mixed in that go around, and then this will be done. Again, this is small. I mean, it's not big at all. So, and boy, is this going to feel good to get done. I was dreading starting this piece, and I really am enjoying it every time I pick it up. I waited so long to start it just because I kept on telling myself I needed to do other things first. And I didn't honestly have a great stitching week. All Sunday, I was in Colorado and driving back from Colorado when you guys were watching my video or not watching my video. So I didn't get I got a little bit done, little teeny bit of stitching done before I left Colorado on Modern Folk Embroidery. Came home. I think I was just tired. I don't think I stitched anything Monday night. And the rest of the days were not super productive either. I mean, I did get stuff done, but not as much. I never get as much done as I want to. Let's just be real. Okay. So the next piece of, actually, I'm going to say this. Sneak peek. Next piece of temperature stitching was called 2 Times. It is 'Tis the Season. This is a Dimensions kit by Charles Wysocki. So I'm using all the kit ingredients for just what you would expect. This is what it was last time you saw it. Like I said, it was called 2 Times, so it got 200 stitches. And you guys, I could not do boring ass stitching anymore. I needed to see something on this. So I started another building, and I'm so happy I did. I kept telling myself that what I needed to do was fill in the windows and the little things and all those little pieces all over the place. And maybe, what am I doing? Ugh, good God. Um, yeah, maybe that'll work. So there's things that I need to fill in on the buildings I have completed. Not a ton, because like all of that roof stuff, that's white and that's how it's supposed to be. But I have other things to fill in and other things to do. I just couldn't, like, it was killing me. Um, so I started a new building. This little blue buddy back here. So um, I might be insane that I'm even considering this. But when I started this back in the 90s, I didn't read the dimensions instructions. And um, I didn't want to rip everything out when I realized I just wasn't familiar with dimension kits. Like, I really didn't stitch on Ada at all. I grabbed it because I love Charles Wysocki winter scenes, and I saw the kit and I was just like, oh yes, I must have that. And I didn't stitch on Ada, and I was a huge fabric snob back then and thread snob back then. It was silk and it was linen, or I was not stitching it. And if it didn't have an ungodly number of specialty stitches, I was not stitching it. Anyway, oh, how the times have changed. Anyway, so I just picked it up and I was just like, easy brainless, let's get stitching. And then I realized, I think honestly, that's why I stopped. I think I realized partway through that I was supposed to be using 3 strands of floss instead of 2. And it was just like a devastating setback. I was not ripping it out. I didn't even have that much done. And so it has sat for 30 years. So if you have watched like a couple of my previous videos with my round robin piece that the Aaron, the cornflower stitcher, had passed to me, I did some stitches on that with 2 strands over the Ada and not the 3 strands that she had done. And then I had gone back through, and you know where I'm going with this. I had gone back through and fixed all of those. Just kind of like went up where I would normally go up stitch wise. And I usually stitch like lower left to upper right is my first cross. And then lower right to upper left is my second. Typically, kind of depends on which direction I'm going. So I had come up and then gone under that top stitch and then down. And I had gone through and added that 3rd strand to all of those. And it worked out really well. Yeah. So as I was stitching my blue, I looked at some of the pieces of this, particularly the darker colors, especially that green sign on the side of that brown barn. And it just was bugging me. And I was just like, I don't need to do it with a cream. Definitely don't need to do it with a white. But should I go through and do that? Should I add that 3rd strand? I'm asking, but I'm not asking. Because no matter what you guys tell me, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. But this is done with temperature stitching. It's out of rotation, so I don't have to make that decision for a while. And boy, will that be some boring ass stitching if all I'm doing is putting an extra strand in. I think I'm thinking black, that dark green, maybe some of the browns. The light stuff, definitely, I wouldn't worry about it. I don't know. I don't know. Do I really care that much? I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. And once I get the back stitching done, it'll be fine. I say that. Okay. This is part of the reason that this next and last piece of temperature stitching is part of the reason why I was a little bit unmotivated this week. So what came up was my oldest whip, my world's oldest whip, which goes back to my very first video. This is legitimately something that I started when I was in grammar school. I was very young. I mean, I want to say 8, 9, 10, something like that. I have no idea. This is what it will look like when it is all done. Cannot believe I found a picture of that. But yeah, the internet is an amazing thing. This is what it will look like when it's all done. And this is where it was last time you saw it. So I had put the first 100 stitches in on it that I had since I was a small child. This is not counted cross stitch. It is on linen. I did look, it does say linen on the bottom. It doesn't give me a count. It is stamped on there, like with that blue. Anyone who's done it knows what I'm talking about. And this is where I'm sitting. This is horrible to work on, guys. Like, don't even get me started on why I have a project. I am almost 55 years old. And this has been around since, I'm going to say, like, generously 10. Maybe even before that. Why I still have this with the number of times I've moved is ridiculous, but I still have it. And on camera, it honestly doesn't look horrible, but oh, for the love of God, guys. I mean, these are stitches from when I was very young, and I get that. And I'm going to give myself grace. And the back is like, it's crazy. Anyway, I picked it up and I put the 100 stitches in it, and I felt good that I was putting stitches into it. But it was not fun. I mean, because these are showing up on camera 10 times better. Look how dirty it is. The blue is showing up on camera 10 times better than it does in person. Like, it is really hard to see what I need to stitch, and it's not counted. And so trying to get stuff to line up, because my original thought was I'll just finish it off with my stitching like it is now. And it will be like this funny thing where it's like world's oldest whip, because I challenge someone to find something older than this that they haven't finished. And like, how fun will that be? But I was dreading picking it up. Like, it is just so bad to stitch on, because I don't even know where I'm stitching half the time. And the colors aren't the same colors. They're close, but they aren't identical. And my eye, I do have, I'm an accountant, but originally I was going to art school. And so I do have an eye for color most of the time. And it was driving me nuts that it wasn't exactly the same color. Yeah. And I knew it was on my list that I needed to do. And I was trying to make myself do it by saying I needed to do it before I could pick up the gemstone piece. Yeah, I just couldn't. So I restarted it. Now, it's not charted. Wise thing to do would have been to sit down and actually chart it. But that would mean doing more work. So I just grabbed 18 count Aida, white Aida, 18 count, and the threads that I had pulled out that are close to the threads that are there, and just started stitching. I found the center of each and just started stitching. And this is where I got. So I did the 100 stitches that were needed, plus the 100 stitches that I put into this piece last time for temperature stitching. So 200 stitches. I'm counting those back stitches as half a stitch. I do owe this stitches pieces like 700 stitches or something like that, because it did come into temperature stitching when I wasn't keeping up on my temperature stitching. Yeah, it took it like the 8th time to be called for temperature stitching before I picked it up. Anyway, so this clearly is not centered over the other one. Do I care? No, I do not. I am just trying, like, the other things that go line is centered. And I tried to sort of line up the long-leggedy beasties part over it. Like, what was centered on this is not centered with the way I was doing these letters, which is fine. If it looks dumb when I'm all done, I'll just put a little like motif over here, like that was intentional or something. I might sit down and actually chart this, depending on how it turns out. I might sit down and chart it proper when I'm done, but I just, it's going to look like this. Essentially, I'm going to try to echo this as much as possible, but just do it on Aida, 18 count Aida, charting as I go. So I think what I will probably end up doing with this when it's done, I mean, because it won't, like, it's not going to be a ad size necessarily. It's not going to be huge, but it won't be teeny either. I think I might make a pillow. That's what I'm thinking, like a fairly good size pillow, clearly, but I think I'm going to make a pillow out of it. And I think I'm going to have a pocket on the back of the pillow that I'm going to put this in. So I'm going to keep them together. At first, I thought about using this as stuffing in the pillow. And then I'm like, yeah, nobody's going to know that that's even in there. But I think if I make a pocket on the back of the pillow, like a good size pocket, and just put that in there, then I can kind of keep it together and honor that piece and still not have to work on it. So is that a restart? I don't know. What do you guys think of that idea? Clearly I restarted it. I just can't. You guys, I can't. It's so bad. So bad. I can't. So yeah, so I think this is what I'm going to do. And I actually really enjoyed this when I was doing this. Now, I will say I ended up ripping things out several times because I was just like, no, I want more spaces there. I want less spaces there. How many spaces do I want there? How do I want to form this letter? It's on Ada. It's not just like, you have to work with Ada. You have to work with the angles. And I didn't want to do it on linen. I do think this is very stark. That's my other thing. And this is not. So I do think when I am done stitching it, and I'm just using some DMCs that I have laying around. I didn't even take a note of the color. I think I'm going to tea dye this and soften this stark white when I'm done. My husband is texting me now. Hold on. Is it important? Probably not. Good thing he doesn't watch me. Oh, okay. I need to pause. It is important. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, like I thought my husband had left, but he hadn't. And I get this text, which is weird because I thought he had just left, but he hadn't. And so I was just like, if he's gone, that doesn't make sense that he would be texting me unless if there was something that happened. And so his text said, I'll read it to you. His text said, I need your help badly by the messed up privacy fence. So we have like half an acre in the middle of town, which is crazy. But we need it for the big dogs. And you typically don't find half acre lots in the middle of town. And we do have a privacy fence that goes like all the way around the property, not the front. The house is huge, so it takes out a good part of the lot, but it doesn't go through the front, it just goes through the back. And then there's a separate like wrought iron fence that separates the pool from the rest of the yard. Anyway, so there's one side of the fence that is in really, really, really good shape because the neighbors replaced it, I think, several years back, and they did a really nice job. When they did it right. And yes, there is a right way to build a fence. I have an opinion on everything, and it drives me nuts when people total rabbit hole, like skip forward if you need to. But yeah, like you need to use metal posts and you need to put them in concrete and you need to really pour a foundation along the bottom as someone who has dogs. So the dogs don't dig out from under, can't easily dig under the fence. There's just ways to do it, in my opinion. And it's not a cheap way, but if you're going to spend the money and the time to replace a fence, do it the right way. So most of the backyard on that side of me this is the front of the house. So it's like there. Very nicely done. And that's good because we have 4 Irish Wolfhounds and one of our males is intact, which don't even get me started over the last week. And they have a beautiful, beautiful German Shepherd puppy, who is also not been neutered. I don't know whether their plans are to breed her, or I have no idea, but she's beautiful and so nice. And she wants to come play with our dogs all the time. Like they look at each other through the fence all the time. And Irish Wolfhounds are not jumpers. German Shepherds are. So we always keep a close eye, I guess, because we don't need like mixed babies going on. But anyway, so that fence is beautiful up to a certain point. And then they didn't replace the part that kind of goes towards the front of the house. And that fence is in terrible, terrible, terrible shape. Like ready to fall down, like the wind blows and it does this. And it was like that when we moved in. We've only been in the house for about 1.5 years. Like, and people have put like ridiculous posts down and tried to like zip tie things to it. It's on the list of things to do, but it's in such bad shape that we ended up putting up a big piece of like particle board along there, like connecting it to the house and out to the good fence to keep the dogs from being able to go in that area. And it is a good sized area because like the wind's going to blow and that fence is going to come down one of these days. And that's, anyway, the rest of it all needs to be replaced too, but it's not in as bad a shape. So we have one good side. I would say 2/3 of one good side and the rest of it needs to be replaced. But the pool house is like, anyway, totally squirreling. So I misread his text immediately and thought that the privacy fence was down somewhere to the point where the dogs could get out. And it is not fun chasing 600 pounds of dog through the neighborhood to get them back. I mean, they'll listen. I mean, they'll run. I'm like looking out at the draw. They will run because they love to run, but they are not long distance runners. They are sprinters. So they'll go and run up and down the draw, and then eventually they'll just come back. I mean, yeah, once I don't ever leave them out there. I guess I would say that if they ever end up in the front without a leash, they'll run, but they won't go very far. And then they will come back when I call them. But I usually go out and try to put leashes on them. And it's usually pretty easy because, you guys, I am so sorry. I am squirreling like crazy. But usually everyone walks dogs in my neighborhood because it's a beautiful place to walk dogs. And there's always somebody walking a dog out there. And my dogs just come running up to whoever is walking a dog because they're very friendly and they want to meet all the dogs and say hello. And so I can always walk up and put a leash on them as they stop to say hello to a dog. But again, so sorry, but my dogs are huge. Like Cass, Mama Cass, my first Irish Wolfhound and my baby girl, she is like 190 pounds, 195 pounds. And she comes running at them full bore. And not only is the human scared to death, but the dog is scared to death most of the time. She just wants to come and say hi. Sucks being a big girl. Anyway. On to SALs. The first one I have to talk about is the Steady Thread 2025 SAL. This is what it will look like when it's done. If it was done all in black, I'm not doing it all in black. This is where it was last time you saw it. This is on 14 count Cafe au lait Ada by Fiber on a Whim. Just the border is, it's all Classic Colorworks. The border is black coffee and the colors in the circles are just leftover Classic Colorworks I had from other projects, trying to stay within the same color family. So I did what I said I was going to do. my plan. I did one of these little circles, boy, and it was a fun circle to do, that red one at the bottom. And I put extra floss in it to finish this corner of the light. Guys, I am almost doing this more so I can look at it because it looks really messy up there to me. But I'm sure it's right. Anyway, just the border. Finished off that corner of the border. So this is the only border I have left. And then I need to finish the circles. I had 2 strands. So what I'm doing is doing weekly stitching. So one of the bubbles every week, and then putting a strand, a full strand, because this is over 1 of Classic Colorworks into the border. And I had 2 strands that were partial strands. They were long partial strands, but partial strands nonetheless. And I just really wanted to get the border finished, and those 2 partial strands did it. So it was a little bit more than 1 strand. So yeah, keep plugging along, making progress on this. Eventually, I'm guessing 6 weeks, maybe 2 months from now, I will have all the border and all the bubbles done and just be having the weekly stitching. Although we will address that in plans. That might be accelerated. I don't know. Something. Okay. Second steady thread SAL is the 2026 steady thread SAL. Just did the weekly stitching. So there's a new piece. Each of these blocks is split up into 4 weeks, and there's a new piece in these blocks that come out every week. There's 12 blocks in the entire piece. And of course, there are more than 48 weeks in the year. So she actually started a little bit before the start of the year. And so these are always ahead. But so that is the first week. A new piece has already come out. So really, they don't align with the months necessarily, but I'm kind of thinking of them as the months. So this is 18 count white Ada with garden cottage threads in tool shed and love seat. So I did that weekly stitching, and those were really fun corners to do. I really enjoyed those. And then I put a length of floss into this center piece. That's all border. It's a very wide border, and it has a square in the middle. Anyone who is not doing these, still plenty of time. Because that's like, what is that, 8, 9? We're just on week 9. And it's not a lot of stitching any week. It's the border more than anything, but you can work on that as I am, just a little bit every week. But there is a square in the middle, and it's all, like I said before, choose your own adventure stitching. She gives so many different options. Like every week there's 2 different options, and they all will work with anything you chose previously. And the border, there's lots of different options. So it's just fascinating to see what everybody's doing with it. I absolutely love stitching on this. And yeah, this might get accelerated too. I've been doing 1 strand of the cottage garden threads towards the center every week, and then doing the weekly stitching. Making good progress. All right. This one you saw mostly done. The modern thread embroidery SAL. I did do the little bit that I had left to do. I didn't show you. I hope when I edit, I will pop in what this looked like last week. Not that there's a huge amount of difference, but I still will. Some modern folk embroidery SAL, little acorns. And this is where it was last time you saw it. I'm not sure I took a picture of it last week. I don't think I did. So there might not be a picture from last week technically in there, but I finished that first band. I didn't have much to do, but I did get it finished off this week. So met my February goal for that. My January goal was to do all the layout, and I did do all of the layout, all of the counting, all of the layout. So all of that stuff is done and super easy to go from. I did have a little bit of extra floss, so I started the next band just where I could very easily. So this is Fox and Rabbit Saltbush with DMC 816 that I soaked in a coffee dye to kind of give it some more dimension. And it's very subtle because it's a dark color to start with, but it still did what I wanted to do. So yeah, absolutely adore stitching on this 100%. The only thing that I'm struggling with a little bit, honestly, is stitching the same thing. Like I started over here and that was so much fun. And I did this piece, this one, and that was so much fun. This like whole big motif here. And then I looked and I realized, like for the first time, I don't know how I didn't realize that before, but the center motif is just the same thing as the motifs on the side. It is just half, like these are just half of it. And aesthetically, I love the way that looks. Stitching wise, sometimes it's hard for me to motivate myself to stitch the same things. But you know what? Like the new alchemy pieces by Jet X Stitch are mandalas, and that's not bothering me. So I don't know. I will never, ever, ever be able to look at this without identifying these as lobsters. Since my granddaughter said that. And I look at them and I'm not sure. Did Jacob intend those to be lobsters? Oh, they definitely look like lobsters. I just see lobsters now. But I just love the way her mind works. She just makes me smile. Or maybe she just sees things that I don't see, like lobsters. But yeah, so got that done, that monthly goal done. What I did horribly on is my Hayed Sal. I did pick it up, but like I said, it was not a great stitching week because I was fighting with that Ghoulies and Ghosties piece the whole time, trying not to do it, I guess. I don't know. Telling myself I had to do it. I absolutely had to do it. And then I would just not stitch. So I did pick up my Hayed Sal one day and only one day, but I was home for most of the day. So that's not entirely true because I had 3 meetings. But so I'm doing Fairy Tale by Dragon Muse. And this is where it was last time you saw it. I hadn't touched it all month, which is sad. I have no goal of getting the whole thing done this year. If I got enough of it done, which is 6 full page finishes to get all the stitch along charts, I would be super satisfied with that. But if that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be heartbroken either because there's nothing that I can't live without there. I mean, there's some of them that I like, but in the greater scheme of things, am I going to stitch them? Unlikely. Even if I like them, because I have other things that are full coverage that I love that I want to stitch. And I don't think any of those rise to that. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I got 417 stitches into it. I was working on it in the morning. And then I went to my meetings. Then I worked on it when I came back. And I stayed up really late working on it because I was loving, right? I mean, I was just in a groove. And I started doing the diagonal thing that I explained on my other videos. On this one, where I pull my cover, working on 20 stitch diagonals, pulling the colors off of the first diagonal, but going all the way through the next 20. So it's kind of like 40 stitch diagonals, but not. And boy, I was having so much fun. I did actually let myself go a little bit over this diagonal line a couple of places, or else there was a couple of places where it would be creating confetti for me if I didn't do it. So I allowed myself to kind of go over that line a little bit. The first page break on this is right here. Yeah, right here. So I'm a little bit past the first page break on that diagonal, and it goes down to like right about here. So I've got about half a page done in 2 months. So I think doing 6 pages might be a little bit of a tall order. But I am loving the way it's looking. I am doing this on 20 count easy grid beta with 2 strands of the called for DMC. So it is thick. I'm doing full cross on 2 strands because that's my happy place coverage wise. If I'm on 20 count, I want the 2 strands and the full cross to get the coverage. It is thick, but it's not horrible. So yeah, it might be a little bit of a tall order to get 6 pages done. I don't know why I'm not wearing my glasses. A little bit of a tall order by the end of the year, but like I said, I'm not going to be heartbroken. The thing is that I teach and I'm on a 9-month contract. So by the time summer rolls around, I have a lot more time to stitch and to do other things. So you never know. Never know. But like I said last time, it's not going to be the priority. I am just really grooving on stitching it right now. I'm really grooving on full coverage stitching. So, okay. And haul. I just have a little bit, like I said, just not too much. First thing is the last set of Silk and Colors threads, the ones that were back ordered for the new alchemy pieces. I don't even know which one these go to off the top of my head. But they came in and I meant to bring them to Colorado and show them to you, and I did not. So this is violin, like speech therapy, like the instrument violin serenade for Stitch and Colors. And just like all the other flosses, they are just absolutely stunning. I am not sure how to show you how beautiful. That almost is worse because it washes them out because of the white. Does exposure things, but they're so pretty. I'm just obsessed. So anyway, yeah, those came in. So that counts. I count it when it comes in. I did order a couple of kits, one off of Poshmark that hasn't shipped yet, but it was like, you guys, it was like $13. And it was a Benway kit. And I don't think I've stitched a Benway kit before, but it was just so happy. I needed it. It was happy. I also, guys, I don't need any more projects. Okay, I don't know whether you guys watch the Runner Stitcher, Andrew, but he recently had Mareshka reach out to him and offer to send him a free kit so he could try it. I don't know whether they said, can you please feature it on your channel or anything like that. And clearly, Andrew has a much bigger audience than I do, but nobody is ever offering me free kits. Really? Anyway, so he picked out a kit and he tried because they have their own like app, Fantastitch, and kind of did a review of the app and has been working on the kit. And oh my gosh, I was just so jealous. Like I was like, I think I need to try that app. And I think I need a Mareshka kit because I haven't had a Mareshka kit before. So I went and I looked through all of them, and there were a couple of them that I really liked, but I did end up ordering one from Wizardy. So it actually almost came yesterday, but not quite. So that'll be here now. And I'm really curious because when the pictures of it, the main picture of it has the colors looking a certain way. And then there are other pictures of it where it's kind of like at an angle, like it's not like a straight on shot, I'm going to screw up by using this whiteboard. It's like this, you know, and the colors look a lot lighter when it's at an angle. And I really like the colors on the original, like flat thing. So I'm really hoping that those are the colors, because it's kind of dark. And I think there's only like 13 colors in the whole thing. So anyway, that's going to come in eventually. I have not placed another Nashville pre-order, but I am down to be notified when Fox and Rabbit's fabric becomes available to order, because I do like their new colorway. And there are several other things that are sitting on a wish list, which I haven't added yet. I missed out. I almost ordered Dirty Snow linen, that new Fiber on a Whim color. And I didn't right away because honestly, I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't think it would be that popular because I'm like, it's off-white. Is there going to be a rush on off-white? Yeah, there was a rush. And I can't find it. I really want it in 40 count. And I am definitely in that, like, I want small linen, small count linen, or high count linen, I guess I'm saying small. Because some of the projects I want to do, I don't want them to be huge. And no, I don't want Ada. I could be okay with 36. I don't know. I'm sure I'll be able to get it. It's Fiber on a Whim. I can get that most of the time. Squirrel. So yeah, so I do have, like, this is kind of haul, I guess. I mean, it's for finishing cross stitch pieces is what it's for. But I did, one of the errands, one of the places my husband and I went yesterday was to Ollie's. Anyone who does not have an Ollie's in their town might not know what I'm talking about, but it's this store and they buy, like, I think they buy closeout things from other stores. Like they bought all of Joann's closeout stuff. And that went very, very quickly. At least at my local store, it went very quickly. I don't think it's very far out west right now. Maybe it is. I don't know. Going to Ollie's is an experience because, like, all of those like cereal brands that they try and that don't go over very well, like, oh, what was in the store yesterday? Honey Bunches of Oats chocolate. Like tons. Like you can, there's food, there's books, there's home furnishings, there's tools, there's like just a little bit of everything. Clothes, and it's not like organized well at all. Like the vacuum is right next to the lamps, which is right next to the dishwashing detergent. So it takes a minute. It takes a hot minute to get through there. But we always find things because they have some really good brand name things for like really good prices. Then we always end up spending too much. So I didn't go in there with anything specifically in mind. Okay, that's not true. I haven't been there since they bought out Joann's. So I went to go see if they had anything, and they didn't. And then also when I was in there at Christmas, they had these really, really nice lights. That they had desk lights and they had floor lights and they really nice wattage, very flexible arms. And, you know, I'm a stitcher. So, and I live in a house without light. So I almost picked up one of those at Christmas. Actually, for my soon-to-be daughter-in-law, I almost picked one up. But the only floor one that they had left was on display. And it was Christmas. I couldn't get anybody's attention. And so I didn't pick it up. And so I was kind of hoping there were some of those lights left. And of course, they were not. So anyway, I digress yet again. One of the things that I can always find at Ollie's is good pieces to finish things in for super cheap. So they have this weird little aisle where it has these weird, I think they're decor pieces. I think that's what they're intended to be. They're usually horrible. Like, I would never like this. I would never put that up in my house. ever, ever, ever. Not even think about it. But this is heavy and it's substantial and it will sit very nicely on a shelf and not fall over. And I can very, very easily take some sticky board, cover something, and put a cross stitch piece in there. In fact, I think there were a couple more of these. I might go get a couple more because they're $3. You guys, $3. Like, I don't care about this. I don't want this. I want this. And I find things like this there all the time. And you know, I haven't measured exactly what this is. I'm going to guess it's about 6 inches, 6.5 inches. I know I have things that I've stitched that I can put in there very easily. Not sure I'm in love with the color, but paint will do a lot, or a little stain if I want to make it a little bit darker. But yeah, so I got one of these. I'm probably heading back today to see if they have any more because $3. I'm not leaving it there for $3. This is very similar. This was $4. Again, like, this is dumb. This is not dumb. This is awful. This is not my aesthetic. But actually, like, now I'm holding it next to my wall and it kind of goes in my room maybe, but this is not my thing. And this is like plexiglass. You can hear that. If I'm not making weird things happen on the mic. But like, the frame is very, very workable. This was $4. It does not, I haven't taken the paper off on the back. I don't know. I guess I could do that while I'm talking to you because it is kind of ripped. I'm not sure that, sorry, I'm ripping back. I'm not sure. Oh, there are points. Okay. I'm going to say I might have to buy some points. But even if I'm just gluing something on the top of this or putting something on, like, it's a good dimension, decent frame, $4. So yeah, I think they only had one of these, but that's okay. Like, I mean, I like the color, I like the dimension. So they're just pieces I picked up for cross stitch finishing, as I do when I go to Ollie's. So plans. So it is the first day of March. So I have 2 new Whip Go calls. They were 3 and 4, I believe, which are Angel Moonlight. For me, I'm not sure if this was 3 or 4. I'll have to look. This is a kit that I picked up off of eBay. I can't remember who even put it together or who the artist is right now. I have a very sad little start on it. I'm sure I'm using, was it a kit? I'm not really sure. I think it was a kit. Just using the threads and stuff. I think it's just on Ada, 14 count Ada. Coverage is not great with the dark colors, but you know, it was not expensive. And overall, I think it will be fine. I guess I could do my little trick. I'm going to diagonalize that for sure when I pick it up. I'm going to do my little diagonal, and it will be a lot of block stitching. Because if you see by this piece, like, it's very dark. The background is very dark. So that should go very, very quick. I just need to do 1,000 stitches on that. And the other call for me, and I think this might have been 4. I don't know. I'll check. Is the Holiday House SAL by Satsuma Street, which I started, was doing great on until I wasn't, which is the story of my life with SALs. This is where it was last time you saw it. So, 1,000 stitches on that. And each release is about 1,000 stitches on that. So I should be able to finish up release 3, which is what I'm working on now, and probably move on to release 4 with 1,000 stitches. So those will be really good. Of course, I have this second band in Modern Folk Embroidery SAL for March that I want to get done, that I have this little start on. It's just I think it's a little bit narrower than the top band. Not that that makes much of a difference, but there's some really fun little deer and things in there. So super looking forward to that. Definitely want to make some decent progress on my Hayes SAL, although that probably won't be priority. So those are monthly. I also really have a goal that I haven't talked about of getting a fully finished object done every month. And I haven't fully finished anything, I think, since October. So I would really like to at least get one of those done, if not two, to start kind of working on that backlog. Weekly stitching, absolutely going to continue with the weekly parts for the Steady Thread SALs. Definitely stitch on those every week. I'm highly, highly, highly tempted to just finish the borders, which will not give me very much stitching to do any given week, which makes me a little bit sad because I am really enjoying working on them. But at the same time, decreasing that amount of stitching that I feel like I need to get done every week, I think will be helpful. Because if I can kick the weekly parts, if it's just the weekly parts of both of those out in an hour. So I'd still be making progress and just kind of decrease the weekly requirements. So definitely going to keep doing that. Like I said, might accelerate the border pieces and try to get those done. What I am so on the fence about is temperature stitching. Temperature stitching has done really, really good things for me since I've been doing it. I have seen tremendous progress on things that haven't seen work in a really, really long time. A lot of my things that are in temperature stitching right now are in my temperature stitching until they are finished. For example, Daffodil Drive. That is not going to take me very long if I just sit down and do it. And then this will be a finish. And I'm kind of informally saying for every 2 finishes, I can have a new start. I did have 2 finishes this year. So that is why part of the reason I was able to rationalize my new start. Some of those things I could have done very quickly. Like this is another example. If I just sat down and worked on that, I'm going to say within 3 hours on the outside, it would be done. And I do have a lot of things. Kittens, like I usually, like I was going to finish this ornament before I switched it out for something else. I have a lot of things in temperature stitching that are like that. But my temperature stitching right now, some of the pieces are bringing me a lot of joy and some of them are not. I don't hate working on any of them, but like when I was looking ahead, so Moon and Sun Sampler was called for 100 stitches again. That is boring ass gold 1/1 border, getting that done. When I pull it out and I'm working on it, I don't hate it, but it is charted terribly. Like the chart for that piece, the piece is like this big. It's a little, and the chart is like this big. It's huge. I don't know why it's so big. And it's just bad. The chart is just bad. And it's all border and it's not really a pattern. And so I have to look where they need to go every time. But once I get in the groove of doing it, like I don't typically write on my patterns, but I am highlighting when I'm getting those stitches done because it's really easy to lose where I am. But once I'm in the groove and I have it out, like 100 stitches goes quickly, but like I want to get the boring ass border done so I can move on to something fun. I want to get this finished. I want to get this finished. GHI by the Prairie Schooler, the H is for honey. I'm so close to being done with it and I just want to get it finished. Not only because I want to start something new and I know I can start, like mentally, I know I can start something new. I make the rules, I can break the rules, but I don't know. So hard of me. And and on top of that, okay, Nashville Needlework Market next weekend, I think. Um, I have a huge pre-order, huge. Plus, I have another kit coming in probably Monday, and another kit coming in. Almost ordered a couple other kits that I did not. I have all sorts of new projects coming in, and I have projects that I really want to start. Um, Many of which I haven't even mentioned, like in this FlossTube. And I keep buying and finding new things I want to do. And like temperature stitching is just bumming me out right now. Um, and like I said, I don't hate working on any of it. And I like getting progress on them. But on top of all of that, I have all of this catch-up stitching from last year that I want to do. And I have a lot of projects that are in that catch-up stitching. Like literally, I've got this plan. Everything is either in Whip Go, in a temperature stitching rotation, or going to come in or back into a temperature stitching rotation, or it's in catch-up stitching from every single project I have, except this new start, or it is in catch-up stitching from last year. So I can really work on any of those things. My problem is that my time is limited, time, that valuable resource. And between my SALs and my temperature stitching, and my Whip Go, all of which I'm very happy to be doing, I don't have time to get to any of those stitches, those catch-up stitches. And I really want to work on some of those pieces. I really want to work on Erin's scissor piece. I have not touched Holiday Market in quite a while. Very far behind on that. Stitch Along City. I'm not really feeling that, so I don't feel so bad about not working on that, but I still have it and it started. I think I just need to get to a certain point and then I'll have fun. But anyway, so I'm feeling limited, even though I'm not limited. And I think it's because I want to start new things. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I might I haven't decided. I'm not sure I will decide by next week, but I might like pseudo abandon temperature stitching for a little while and just start new things, or pull out those catch-up stitching things I want to work on. Like one of my catch-up stitching pieces is Six Portals by Rose Catherine Kahn. I was using it for gridironed grind. I had unrealistic goals there. Stitch counts were kind of messed up. And I did swap it in after like for several games because I didn't want to work on the piece that I had. According to my totals, I owe it 12,000 some stitches. So it's almost 1,000,000 stitches. That's nothing, but it's 12,000 stitches. And it is sitting there staring at me. And I want to work on it. I just want to work on it. And I'm totally digging full coverage right now. So I don't know, just trying to figure it out. So next week might be a mystery. I know I have rattled on forever now. I'm looking at the time. Next might have to do some very creative editing. Next week might just be a mystery. I am sure I will have some progress on the steady thread pieces. I can say that with most surety. Other than that, I really don't know. I really don't know, because I just want to start all the things. I want to start all the things and do all the makeup stitching and do things that I haven't touched in a while. And it just seems like it is taking forever to get some of those things finished in temperature stitching. And so many of them are in there until they're done because they're so close. So I don't know whether I just take a week off the calls and just like finish. Like Jen, the caffeinated crafter, just finish the shit. She says that. Like, I don't know whether I need to just like finish the shit and then put some new things in. that I'm excited by or what I need to do. But I guess I'll figure it out. If you are at this point, you have the patience of Job and have stuck with me a very long time. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So hopefully I will have new exciting things to show you next time I record. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm kind of boring sometimes. But anyway, have a fantastic week. I'm really looking forward to seeing the surprise releases at Nashville Needlework Market. Not that I need anything else, but for some reason, my gut is telling me there's going to be some really good stuff. And I think those are all out on Sunday. So I record on Sundays. I might be checking my phone while I'm recording. Might record on Saturday. I don't know. It's a mystery. But 2 weeks before spring break, and then I will have like time to do lots of things. So take care, stay safe, do what you need to do to kind of stay away from all of the news cycle and everything that is going on right now. I think it's very, very hard for me personally to consume news and maintain my mental health. And I think a number of you guys are probably in a similar situation. So take care. Be kind to yourself. Do what you need to do, whether it is stitching, whether it's taking a long walk, whether it's just disconnecting from things, reading, puzzles, cooking, baking bread. That's a wonderful thing to do. Just find whatever centers you and go for it. All right. See you next week. Bye. This is the point in the video where I start considering stopping and just restarting again, but I'm going to motor through. Okay. Kind of hate drinking on video. I feel like you guys can hear me gulping. Can I keep doing this? Is this like irritating? I think it is. 4 SALs. I guess I do have 4 SALs. The first one to talk about is, boy, this is going to be a long video. I think it's because of work and something I've been lecturing on. I've had to say distributable more times than I would like to count. Distributable. Hot Mess Express today.